evening light, when the women of the woods came by to give to you the word of the old man. Morning tide, when the sparrow and the seagull fly, Jonathan and Evelyn get tired. Lie to me if you will. At the top of Beringer tell me anything you want. Any old lie will do. Call me back to you. Lie to me if you will. At the top of Beringer tell me anything you want. Any old lie will do. Call me back to you. 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 Back to you.
You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
Put 'em up, Shooter. Shooter McGavin over there. And, ooh,
Keith Cheatham.
popping open that brewski.
Drinking the last of our 85 from Neil.
It's been a good
So
year.
good.
It's a better year than 84.
Such a better year. 84 just let us down.
Gosh, this
So
is so
good.
good.
It is good.
It is good,
I
isn't
know.
it?
I
good.
gotta hold on. I gotta take another sip and rub it in Neil's face because we found out it's seasonal and he can't find any anywhere.
Oh.
Because he's never tried it, and since he heard how good it was from us, he really wanted to try it, and he can't get any. So here, let me just.
Rubbing it in his face. My goodness.
These are the last three.
How dare you? They are good
until well, sometime
So
this
good.
summer. So
Well, I know we got to
Not-
wait
not
again
too
for
long.
a new season, new
Yeah.
year.
well, they're summer brews. So he They must have just had like the last of that at wherever he got it from.
I guess so. And he picked the winner. We all like it. That's very, very good. It's actually better
It's actually expired.
after aged a couple weeks. I was going to say,
It
well,
expired last week.
oh,
Well, that may not be,
You know-
because most beers don't have expiration dates. They either have a bottle
ain't
by
flat.
date or
yeah.
a sell by date.
It's not flat at
It
all.
ain't
So
flat.
So I
that's
think we're
its-
okay.
That's its sell by date, I would say, which means that as long as it's sold by then, it should.
And I'll be honest.
So they don't have a drunk by date?
Well,
Drink by?
They don't have. There's no.
I'd say all
Consumed
beers
by-
have a drunk
Beers
by.
don't have expiration dates because they technically don't expire. Like you can't get sick. Like they don't taste good after a while. Like after
Right.
a while they taste
They
like
get
crap.
flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they never expire. You can drink a beer whenever.
I'll say, I honestly,
it just won't be very.
I did
flavorful.
it that time.
I've had a beer after its expiration date, well after, like 2-3 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
those Great Lakes beers that I bought
Yeah.
were like,
Forever old.
yeah, and I didn't
They
think
don't
they
taste
were good. No.
Well, that's what they're saying.
Well,
like,
but sometimes I think that does depend on the beer too itself.
yes.
Sometimes, and not say
yeah, see, that is not flat.
that's not flat at all.
No.
That definitely gives you the
Neil is
bubbly.
crying on Facebook right now.
He wants some so bad.
He said he's checked multiple.
There's
places.
something else that we're enjoying too,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful, beautiful gift
Yes.
from our friend Mr. Burris.
Oh yes.
He
yes.
gave us
I didn't know what to expect.
this little plaque here.
I know, I wasn't
all three of us.
expecting it
This was
either.
not expected.
You gonna
Hold
go-
on to the camera right there.
I don't want to.
Look
I'm
at that.
gonna
For
hold
our
it to mine.
300th episode
This,
here.
this camera here.
Oh, Sean's holding it in front of his face.
That one.
There it
that
is.
one. I'm gonna hold it in front of Sean.
See,
I don't
I
want
got
anybody
the
to
I
see
got
it.
the bubbly beers too. But
Yeah.
he gave us these beautiful plaques here. Each one
Gorgeous.
addressed to us.
Hollywood star of fame.
Yeah. Isn't that just beautiful?
The only star we'll ever get.
hey, I don't know if in your all's little letters, if you all got a word of encouragement.
It
but
was-
I did.
he's
Oh,
looking
yes.
forward to our other
For
walks of fame. to
300
come.
more episodes. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
right.
He
And-
commemorated us for reaching 300, and we very much appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jacob.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much, and for the letter that you sent each one of us. We will be adorning our studio with those. We got to find out where to put them.
Gotta find a place.
I don't know where I think mine's gonna go like right here.
We're
But
gonna
not
find
so
the
much where my head will
perfect
cover it up.
spot for them.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that everybody can see them. You know,
Mm.
we got a great week in news. We got a great week in some, well, not headline news like the real world. If you still need an escape, well, we're still complaining about the movie industry, but at least it's way better than what's going on in the real world.
Yeah, there's not much to keep you distracted, but there's a little bit, and we're gonna keep reviewing what there is.
And finally, after several weeks of, I think, subpar, or the way you put it last week, Sean, meh,
Meh?
meh, films, we finally got one that is actually, I think,
Kind of
it's
like
worthy
it's like-
of
it's
the,
like,
the buzz that it's been getting.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, no. To be fair, the sound of because I still rate
True, but that was several weeks ago.
that was quite a while ago.
Yeah. So
In the grand scheme of things,
it's been a while since we've actually reviewed one where I think we're all on the same page and we're actually all excited about what it is we watched. We were a little skeptical going in, but of course we introduced Nomadland that was going to be reviewed this week. We're going to review that film, but we also have a film we're going to review next week. And unlike we normally do, we're going to try to get into the trend of telling you all what movie we're going to review
We-
for the following
for
week.
for about a good month there, we actually were announcing the movies we're going to review the next week, like right after our reviews.
It's 'cause it
And
was
then-
the Christmas
then we stopped.
season.
Well, no, I mean
Yeah.
even I would say even before that, because there was a moment where we were actually planning them out, and
Yeah.
we continued to plan them out the night of the podcast. But even though we had already had them planned, we stopped announcing it on the show.
Well, I think
so.
part of the problem too is a lot of the movies that we've been reviewing aren't accessible to everybody.
yeah.
So
Well,
this
that's
past
part
movie
of the
was
problem with
not,
streaming
and the next
because-
movie will not be. So it's very difficult to let other people watch
But
them.
again, that's part of the problem with not having theaters open
Right.
is that
Yeah.
some of these movies aren't going to.
We don't have that access.
Netflix doesn't have something every week to review,
Yeah.
and even when they do, sometimes it's not anything.
They're going
you
to.
know. They are. They did announce this year a new movie every
which
week.
is crazy.
It's going to see how that how that works out.
I mean, it makes my job easier for that pre-show
Yeah.
Yeah.
video
Yeah.
that I could actually have something to put up fresh for Netflix every
Yeah.
week. But it is kind of crazy that it's like, how are they doing it? And we've asked this question all the time.
They
but
were
it's like,
I
guess
making
all of
offers
last year?
on Kong versus Godzilla. They were offering $225 million
how
for the
in
movie.
the hell? How?
Yeah.
They don't have that kind of money in their coffers. There's no
Just
way.
do what they want. And,
well, they
and,
think so.
You know,
They're like
hope
Congress.
for the best.
You just keep shoveling money.
Yeah.
You just print it. Netflix has a money-making
Just,
machine.
Still
raise the
waiting for
deficit.
mine.
It'll be okay.
But we do have... Oh, there he is,
So,
taking that sip of that
we
85.
did. Before we get to the review, did you want to go ahead and announce the movie we're reviewing next week?
Yes,
Yeah.
so we are reviewing yet another film that is going to be hard to find, but if you can...
Another smaller independent film.
Smaller independent, which I actually like. That's kind of the weird thing about the beginning of the year. We've talked about this maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, was that the beginning of the year used to be a dead year for good movies.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're actually starting to come out some decent films at the beginning of the year, and they're truly, I think, widely spread throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
You have your summer blockbusters, but you've got some that are, no longer just waiting for the fall. They're actually coming out early on. And I hope the next one we review for next week is one of those films. And it is called Run, Fight,
No.
Run, Hide, Fight.
Run, hide, fight.
Run. That's the problem with using just 3 words for your title. Run, Hide, Fight. It is a independent film about a school shooting that takes
A
place.
little bit controversial,
Yeah.
obviously, because of its subject material, but
But, I think it looks good. You
it
can
depends
check out the
it
trailer on
depends
YouTube.
on the message, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
and what we won't know until we see the movie.
And so we're reviewing that next week, so you can check out that film. But the one that got buzz maybe 2 months ago, I would say, started catching buzz and people started talking about it.
It went around several festival tours and circuits and got a lot of good word of mouth from there.
So we were like, hey, yeah, we got to
and
review
now
it.
it's looking to be a heavy Oscar contender. So
Mhm. So we're going to go ahead and throw to that review, and that is our review of Nomadland.
Though 2020 was an abysmal year for the film industry, much like it was for pretty much every industry, we still must crown a Best Picture winner at the 93rd Academy Awards. The year has provided us with slim pickings, but with the deadline for film releases extended until the end of February, we are still getting a slow trickle of contenders. One such film, having made a few festival tours, will release just in time to be eligible for nomination. Nomadland, directed by Chloe Zhao, who is currently directing Marvel's next big blockbuster, The Eternals, is based on the novel of the same name by Jessica Bruder. Starring Frances McDormand as Fern, a woman from Empire, Nevada who loses nearly everything and is forced to live in her van to find work when the local U.S. gypsum plant shuts down, the movie showcases the nomad lifestyle lived by many Americans, which was especially prevalent during the Great Recession. The movie follows Fern as she moves from location to location, learning how to survive on the road and meeting new and interesting people along the way as they teach her new lessons about life. Nomadland is a beautiful and often melancholy film, showcasing the real lifestyle of many Americans, brilliantly incorporating real nomads to play themselves in the film, with characters Linda May, Bob, and Swanky all based on real people from the novel. All 3 are played by their real-life counterparts. Added with the film's almost documentary-style cinematography, the movie has a perfectly authentic feel. Frances McDormand as Fern is a character of few words, but speaks novels in her expressions and mannerisms, making the moments when Fern has a lot to say all the more powerful. While the film maintains a melancholy tone throughout, it is never depressing. Fern is often pensive with a sense of underlying loneliness displayed through the movie's narrative, adding solid emotion and relatability to the character. Yet through it all, you are never made to feel bad or pity those who choose the nomad lifestyle. It is for them their way of life. The film offers a solid message about the life we live and the relationships we build with one another and our community. Most importantly, it has a good deal to say about goodbyes that will pull on every one of your heartstrings. Nomadland is quirky, entertaining, and endearing, and would be well at place amongst Oscar contenders, though for me it wasn't the end-all be-all of filmmaking. Though not much was this year. Nomadland is terrific, but feels just a tad too familiar. Almost as if Zhao knew all of the right quirks to put in the movie to make it an Oscar contender. Though I will admit that is being a bit nitpicky. The movie just doesn't feel as fresh as I was hoping. Still, Nomadland offered me an entertaining and thought-provoking film with a solid message and strong emotion. For that, I give Nomadland 3 out of 4 stars.
That's right, No Man Land.
No Man
Land?
Down there right in the corner, you can see it says No Man
Did you have
Land.
a few too many 85s before you typed
I
that
think I
out?
did. I think I just kind of went a little crazy and,
Typo.
You know, it just sucks because you can't get away from it. It stares you right in the face the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw up this lower here and hope it's spelled right.
Let's see.
It is. Thank God.
Good job.
So Nomadland, 3 out of 4 stars. I'm actually upping it a half star.
Yeah.
I thought it was 3.5 out of 4.
I kind of got that feeling when I talked to you about it when I came to record that you were going to give it that 3.5.
Siding on that. Yeah.
And it's I really do like the movie. I mean, I
Yeah.
give it 3
Yeah.
stars. I just something about it, like I felt like just seemed too familiar compared to like I told you, like Nebraska, 3 Billboards, other indie Oscar nominees. And I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing because those are all fantastic movies, and this is a good movie. But it comes to a time where it's like I don't want every indie film to feel like that type of indie film. Like I want them
I get that.
to broaden out a little bit and still
I
still offer something great. but
I never
be a
even
little
thought of
bit
it like
fresher.
that. Yeah.
I don't. and
So
it's
you
not
didn't
a-
have
it-
the same feeling.
And it's a little bit
No.
nitpicky. I mean, it is. It's like I say in my review. It's kind of a nitpicky thing because it's technically not doing anything wrong. It's just something that I'm like, I kind of.
You've seen this before.
I've seen
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing that surprised you in this film.
Well, I mean, as far as like tone wise, now I mean, it's still like so many moments still like talk like the moment with Swanky, the moment when she's talking about like
Swanky.
Yeah,
That was her
yes.
name.
That was her
Yeah.
name. I know
The
you're trying to remember
the
her
moment
name
that she's talking to now this guy's name I can't was it Richard?
Bob, I think.
No. Oh, it was Bob when he's
It's
talking about
Bob.
his son and
Yes.
her.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that guy.
That was the
Yes.
one
Yeah.
part in the movie that I teared up.
Yes,
I couldn't
that
hold it. On
that
that one.
really
Yeah.
got me. Yes.
Sean, what about you? 3 out of 4.
3. Yeah. Yeah.
But you had different complaints. Or
No,
different,
yeah,
not complaints.
It's funny
but
because you say it was too familiar in that it felt like some other independent films that we've seen, which I can kind of see that now that you mentioned it. But I felt like it wasn't as much of a film as it was a documentary.
That was actually the aspect I liked about it, that it felt kind of documentary-ish.
Right,
Yeah.
but that kind of led me to it put a taint on the film that I felt through the whole thing, and I had to actually look it up online afterwards because I kept getting the feeling that she Borated these people, that she
yeah.
went in.
Well, she didn't, but they are the real people.
I know they're the real people. I knew that, but when I read the synopsis about it before I watched it, I knew that. But I felt like it was so well done, I guess, that it seemed to me like she was putting on this persona and being this character in front of these people and tricking them out into giving them
And they probably
into
could have
giving
done
her
that.
real emotions and real stories, because I just didn't see it possible for these non-actors to really like relive and retell these stories in such a good
Yes.
performance.
They were really
They really were.
They were
And it's
fantastic.
not until like Brandon pointed out to me when we were talking about it earlier, that's one of the things that makes it stand out.
Yeah.
But it's not until you know that this
And
isn't.
for those who
Well,
don't
and
know,
that's
what
the
we're
weird
well, I was
thing.
just going to explain. Like for
go
those who
ahead.
don't know, like what we're talking about is there's 3 characters in this film that are the movie itself is based off of a novel that's a nonfiction novel.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 of the characters from that novel are based obviously on real people, and they got those real people to play those parts in this movie
In a
and of course,
fictional sense,
and
yeah.
they're fictionalized versions of
Yeah.
themselves because the real. Well, I don't want to spoil that, but what ends up with Swanky, obviously. But
Yeah.
they are the real people that were portraying the characters that they were based on.
Yeah, well, to kind of go back and draw from, I thought what was really creative about it was I did not walk into this film knowing any of the prior knowledge of that it was a based on a true story, or I had that inkling whenever some of the people she was talking to, but I didn't know those were the real people. I just thought she was in the way that Sean said it was Borating these people, where she was kind of acting well, that she was
Yeah.
acting like a caricature, not a caricature.
No, acting
she
like
was,
a woman who lost her husband and
Exactly.
and got had to leave
the
town.
character
and-
that she plays in the film, because there's no doubt that Frances McDormand is the character Fern in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that Fern was a believable character up until and then she starts interacting with some of these others, and I thought at that moment I was like, well, maybe they got these other people to be involved and they let them know what they were doing, but they were just kind of getting their take on it, and it became a more natural take, because we talked about how some of the camera angles are even set up to where you never really see like Frances McDormand interacting with some of those other people directly on screen. It almost as if they're cutting away to her reaction of what they're saying, as if they are talking back and forth, but
they
you're
weren't,
getting the
yeah.
natural reaction of that person without them being a professional actor.
Yeah.
Which I think is brilliant. I just think that's creative filmmaking. That's the way to get raw emotion. I mean, the very scene where he's talking about his son, that
Well, I think
one
it
scene in
also-
particular
Yeah.
was just so
I
heart-wrenching
just don't see how he
because-
could redo that. I don't see how you could do that.
Speaks to
in
how
takes,
genuine,
but-
Yeah.
how genuine these people
Yes.
are, and how passionate they are about the life they lead. Because they lead, not leave, though we do all leave our lives eventually.
Yeah.
Well,
they
and-
left a life behind.
Yeah.
Exactly. They left a different
but
life
yeah,
that
I
we
think
would
it shows
consider
how
normal.
genuine and passionate they are that they can on film, because to them, like this is their way of life, and it is something that they are committed to. So for them to be able to get on camera and to be themselves,
Well, and I think that speaks
in that
volumes
setting.
of what the film was promoting. And what I loved about the film was the subject matter in and of itself could be controversial depending on what background you come from. But in and of itself, this movie is not pushing any kind of message in front of you of saying this is underlying what we are trying to profess as the way to live. They're simply showing you these group of people and the life choices they've made of being these nomads, going and living in these smaller communities, living on the bare necessities, taking on seasonal jobs. I mean, they don't shy away from the realistic aspects that they ultimately have to face to continue to live. They still have to somewhat engage with normal society, but they're choosing to only engage to a certain extent. And there was one, particular monologue about when she decides to kind of fully embrace this lifestyle, and the guy that's introducing everybody who's in this smaller, nomadic community is talking about the tyranny of the dollar and not living for possessions. And I didn't take it as if you just live for, tangible items, and live for physical property, it's like you're bad. But they just took it as, no, we found meaning outside of that. And I think there is something important in that kind of message, especially in this day and age of, the many different gadgets and gizmos that we have laying around. And it's like, how much of our own selves come from those things, and how much of our lives are invested in, these things that we can't take with us when we leave.
Yeah.
And it is truly getting back to the heart of, well, what is the purpose that wakes you up in the morning? And I think that was something that was very poignantly said in the way the film was shot and in the way the messages and the themes came about, that never felt like they were trying to say, you have to go live this life. In fact, I think they kind of frankly opened it up to, no, you don't, this isn't being forced, upon you at all. This is just, here are these people who've chosen to live this way. Here's how they make it work, and they actually desire to be a part of that. And I walked away from the film respecting those people, and also feeling almost as if it's like, that life's not for me. I'm not going to turn around and give up all my possessions.
Right.
But I'm also, it gives you a second and a pause to think, but how much is too much? At what point am I just living to get more stuff?
Yeah.
And how much of that stuff is absolutely, a necessity?
And the film does a really good job of separating those two ways of life and not pinning a good or a bad on either one of them. When she has her sit down with her sister, and her sister plainly says to her, like, you're going and living a life that I can't do it.
Yes.
But then Frances McDermott also knows, or what was her name?
Fern.
Fern.
Oh,
It's
Fern.
Fern.
Sorry.
I always say Fran too.
Well, it's no
But-
man land.
But yeah.
Fern.
But she, she knows in her heart that she just can't live the life that her sister lives.
Yeah.
She can't live the settled down life. She's done that before. And I do feel like the film does hint around at the fact that maybe even as she was living that life with her husband, there were moments where she was not regretful that she was married to him or with him, but she wanted to move. She wanted to be, on the road. She wanted to be gone. She didn't want to be pinned down to this
Right.
community that his job kept him at, and her job, because she worked there too for a while.
Yeah.
But I think it's just in her heart and in her
Yes.
blood to be on the road, to
Yeah.
be moving and not settle down. And she doesn't discover that until about halfway through the movie. But then you have the other character, Dave,
That's what I
who
love.
starts out that way, and halfway through the movie, he discovers that maybe
His family.
he
Maybe
wants
this is
to
what I
settle
want.
back down.
Yeah. And that's, I love
there's nothing
that.
wrong with it.
I love that too. How it was like, and you kind of see her maybe hearkening to, she has this connection with them, and it's like, well, maybe that's a life that I do want to live. And she has a very positive experience while she's there with him.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like there's something that, just jolts her and wakens her, and she's like, no, I can't do this, And it's funny because, she's very she stands up for what she believes in terms of living that lifestyle. And nobody, there's some people who are kind of mystified by it and are like, you can come and stay with me if you want. And she's like, no, like I'm choosing to live, this type of lifestyle. I know what I've gotten. And it was funny because I loved that transition throughout the whole film of starting out. And I felt kind of sorry for her. I thought I was feeling like, oh, well, I need to be sympathetic towards her character. But then I realized, no, she's embracing it.
That's what I liked about it. It was a scene early on, but when the little girl asked her, she's like, my parents said my parents said you're homeless, and she said, no, I'm not homeless. She said, I don't have a house.
She says I'm houseless, but not homeless.
Yeah,
there's a difference.
And I mean, it's true. Yeah, and I really liked the way she put that.
No, I agree, and I thought overall it was by far one of the few films that have been buzzed and talked about that I was sitting down and I didn't know much about it. I hadn't researched it. I knew Frances McDormand was in it, and I know she's a great actress. And I was like, all right, I'll just watch it, see what it's like. But I was more blown away by it by the end, and it's definitely understandable why this is, I think, on people's radars.
I definitely think it'll get the nom. It's still kind of too early to really say who will get the win, but there's really not out of the movies we've seen that have gotten Oscar buzz.
I think we're all on the same page.
I was like, this one and Sound of Metal are the only.
Metal
yes, that's my pick so far. But those are the only two that I would really say are like the heaviest contenders for Best Picture, in my opinion, for what I would want to see. I know that's not exactly how the Academy will choose, but.
Yeah,
we
don't
know.
We don't know.
We still have another month or a month and a half until they're announced. They're not going to be announced until March,
which is crazy because everything's been pushed back.
Yeah, the deadline now is February 28th. So if your film comes out before February 28th, you are eligible for.
We still got a chance, guys. We can get one in there.
Yeah,
wow. Let's shoot one. Let's shoot a pandemic film. We can do that in a month.
I need to look up the budget for this film because I know that it only took them 4 months to shoot it,
and it was literally. I saw some of the behind the scenes. It's like an Arri Alexa camera that they rented,
her
and
and
a
the
boom mic.
guy that plays Dave, they lived in a van for a couple of months before.
Really?
Before they started filming? Yeah, they did live in a van.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
just to get that feel.
Get a feel of it.
Yeah. Well, and probably I would assume maybe to get acclimated with those communities and maybe let them know ahead of time, like, here's what we're wanting to do, but they don't want to like just show up with a camera and be filming these people and that's the thing. I didn't think that they did any disservice to the people.
No,
they showed. I didn't think they were exploiting them.
Tasteful and respectful, and they honestly showed a true side of America that most people don't really know about or even pay attention to. When someone hears that you just live off the road, like going from job to job and traveling all the time, most people kind of just think it's like, oh, well, you're just aimless. You don't have anything going for you in life, but that's not true. These people have chosen this for a reason,
right? And it's all about perspective.
Yes,
and it's all about how do you handle what life throws at you. And again, I think the one guy's line that I don't want to give it away, but he kind of sums it up of just saying you got to have a purpose and you got to have a reason to wake up every day. And I think this is a good
when you
movie.
find that purpose, you're allowed to go to Earth. So.
Wow.
Sorry.
He's tying it all in, isn't he? Alrighty, guys. Well, 3 out of 4 stars there for Nomadland. Yes, Nomadland, not No Man Land. I'll get that right. I'll change it. Alrighty, guys. We're going to move on now to our headlines. Let's roll that big, beautiful footage there. I just love Keith's reactions to that. That was just fantastic.
I enjoy things.
Oh, it's got the red moon on your face right now. It's like the logo's on his face.
Red moon.
We're
going to talk about movies and headlines.
Oh, we got plenty of good ones too. We've got the biggest one on the block. We were just talking about Oscars.
Yep.
Not coming out. Nominations till February 28th, you said?
Well, that's when the deadline to be eligible. They're not going to announce them until March. And
okay,
the Oscars themselves aren't until April.
But the thing is they've got to know, I guess, up to the 28th. Well, I guess, if the deadline's to the 28th, they still got a couple weeks to vote.
Yes.
But the whole time that they're voting, they're not watching them in theaters.
No.
Not like
theaters
traditional.
Are closed.
Theaters
this
are gone.
year, the Academy created its very own streaming service to distribute streamers with. Which is funny because part of this is to help prevent piracy because, if they say they send out DVDs and then the Academy members
But let's
loan
put
those,
it online.
Yeah, they loan those DVDs. As I said, they loan those DVDs out to people, and then the people they loan them out to rip them and put them online. So they thought, oh, if we do streaming, it won't get out. It's on the internet where hackers can rip into it.
Well,
and
not only that,
behold.
but I kind of am. It's funny that they created their own streaming service for this, and I'm like, why would you spend tons of money to put a streaming service
You get
together?
like a password. You have to like.
I know.
They have to log in with a certain password that only Academy members have.
Right.
But I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I guarantee you, if they would have just like, this is how Netflix could have made money.
Yeah.
They could have partnered with them and said, we're gonna have a special like dedicated Netflix streaming. Like server for your members, and we actually have the infrastructure to make this happen.
It can actually
so it can't get
be
pirated.
in full HD.
And full 4K.
I'm telling you, I watched. What we had was a screener of Nomadland.
It was terrible.
and it
was
stuttered.
god-awful.
It stuttered really
And-
bad. I had it on my own, and then I watched it on yours
Yeah.
to see if yours was stuttering.
yeah.
And yours was worse.
Yeah, I checked. Well, I
because
checked
it's
both.
because local and
But
not.
I did the same thing. I checked
So.
because sometimes, like, I don't know why. I don't know if like the Plex app's just not fully updated for the PlayStation 5. But sometimes, like, if I watch something on Plex on the PS5, it'll stutter. But if I switch over to Xbox, it stops.
Yeah.
No matter what I did,
Tenet
it was
did that really
stuttering.
bad.
So I was like,
But see, and that's the issue with this is like, for one, I think I read in the article that we had, it was via Hollywood Reporter. I'm going to pull this up because it still baffled me that there was like a price tag in order to submit your movie for it to be screened. And they were like, well, this is one of the benefits of the streaming service is that you actually don't have to worry about, the cost being so high to put out
God.
$12,500 per title.
Yeah.
So you still have to pay like $12,500 per. Is that just to keep up the server costs? Like, what in the hell?
So the Academy has like a member has to pay that
Yeah.
to submit it or
No.
to
I think
view it.
that's the weird thing. Okay, so the way the article reads here is it says streaming, which was considered a convenience last award season, has now become a necessity as COVID-19 stay-at-home orders have shuttered the movie theaters in key Academy enclaves like Southern California, New York City, and London. And
South Carolina, no man land.
Yeah. Hey, I'm reading on the spot here. And as more and more distributors, which I think it's funny because you list all of those, Southern California, New York City, and it's like, who runs those states? And as more and more distributors cut back on the expenses of sending out thousands of DVDs, making a film available at the Academy screening room costs just $12,500.
That's to have it in the
per
screening
title.
room.
Yeah.
So
That's not to have it on the streaming service.
But that's the thing. I think the Academy screening room is the streaming service. I think that's what
That's
it's called.
its name. Yeah, the Academy
That's the
screening.
name of
Oh,
it.
it is?
Yeah.
I thought they were saying if you want your film to be shown in the Academy screening room,
because
it costs $12,500.
they're not letting
They're not just
view it
letting
in
any.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to me, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, that's insane. If you've still, which makes me
So you
wonder
gotta
how
pay-
much was it to even get it on DVDs?
Probably a lot.
Are you paying for it to be distributed on DVDs
I'm
or
sure
something?
companies did. I'm sure they paid bank to distribute it just to get that award because it comes with a certain level of prestige, or at least it
that is
used
hoping,
to.
I guess,
At
to
least
get
it
you
used
more
to,
at
yes.
the box office.
And once upon a time that was true, though I think that has waned in recent years as the Academy has nominated and awarded films that most average viewers do not
Don't
feel
deserve.
are
Yeah.
Best Picture. One of the biggest complaints they have, though, and I do agree with, is that the quality of the streaming service, because they
We just
complain
talked
that
about,
which was we talked about how bad it stuttered, but a lot of Academy members are complaining that they don't like the streaming service because they're getting a crap quality. If it's a film that has beautiful cinematography or beautiful effects, they don't really get the full effect of
sound
that.
design.
The sound,
the sound was crap.
If you don't have a great sound system,
it wasn't even in.
Well, it
surround
wasn't
sound.
even in
It
Dolby.
was 2-channel.
it was stereo.
Yeah, and I'm just like, so then.
Which I love how everybody out there is like, all I have is my speakers on my TV. It's like, I don't have 5.1.
But the thing is, when you're an Academy member voting on best sound mixing or best editing, you want to be able to hear as best you can, and a 2-channel stereo is not going to give you the full effect of the
and
mixing
here's the thing,
and editing.
and as hoity-toity as Hollywood might be and as high class, for one, the Academy is made up of way more people than just, you're talking about grips, you're talking about people behind the scenes that have worked on these films. A lot of those are 9-to-5ers. A lot of those are your typical everyday people that may not be making a whole lot to have the big fancy setups.
Yeah.
And the fact is if you can't go to the theater and have it completely tuned and pristinely augmented for the purposes of viewing it in a theater, where everything is basically set up to be in its best format, then yeah, you do have a problem when it comes to those, I think, technical categories. Because if you're watching a screener and you have a terrible quality, who's to make you think that, that
Lord.
CGI is not bad, it's just the quality of the
Yeah,
screener.
yeah.
Yeah.
Without surround sound, you don't get the sound of metal.
No.
I'm serious.
no, you
like
don't.
The surround sound in
You
that
don't.
is
even-
what makes the movie.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
those squeals of him, like the
Oh, yeah.
losing that
Yep.
frequency of hearing,
Yeah.
like because that did, like we talked about how realistic and how that threw us off, and it's like you weren't going to get that in a stereo sounding
No,
film.
no.
so-
Well, and they were even saying like for people who were watching it on iPads and on heaven forbid phones, they were like because they were talking about people are going to use it for convenience. When it's on a streaming service, you may not just have the time to sit down in front of your theater. You could be in the doctor's office and say, yeah, I'll watch one of these smaller films.
Yeah.
But then if you're not, and maybe you have headphones that are decent. Sometimes you could have some busted headphones that your kid played with, and now all of a sudden you're putting them in your ear and only one side works. Or you're watching it on a phone that doesn't have, the most pristine quality. If you have a cheaper, older phone that you're using from several years ago, it does become a question of because at the end of the day, I think something like Nomadland, you could see that film and get the context and get the content. That's what really matters there. That's the meat of that film.
Yeah, but
now there's beautiful vistas.
Yeah,
that
the
would have been
scenery
awesome.
that she travels to, like I would have given anything to be able to see that in 4K.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
But-
almost all the movie is in a lot of it takes place in a dimmer and cloudier and even a lot of sunset, like
True.
twilight hour. And I feel like that would look amazing in HDR. Like you would really see what these people get to see when they're traveling, and that's a shame.
Do you,
that
do you
we
think
didn't
this
get
is
that.
kind of like Netflix or other streaming services where it's going to get better over time?
I mean, I would hope the Academy wanting to award the best films. This is what they're going to continue with even after theaters are reopened to give people that opportunity to use. And I'm sure they will. I don't think they're going to create the streaming service for a single year and be like, all right, we're done with it. But I would hope that yes, they would continue to update it to make it better so that you can, watch these streamers in 4K.
Yeah.
But it's the Academy, and they're terrible at updating and changing things.
Well, and that goes back to my point of why I don't know why they just didn't partner with someone who already has the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like they could have easily
Don't
kind
go-
of offset
don't go
some
with
of these
Amazon.
costs. Yeah, no. Don't do Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
They could cut your services in the
right.
middle of watching. But you could do Netflix. You could do Hulu. You could have done any kind of other streaming service that would have still had a separate server set aside, but they have the infrastructure of how to stream these films without having delays or having the quality issues. Because and I know some of them are not quality issues on the server side. It's how the people are watching. Because they also talk about in the article how it's like just simple distractions at home.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you're just watching on your laptop or you're watching where kids are running in and out of the house.
I 100% agree with that. I don't even have I have 2 dogs, and even that, like when I'm home, and even because I just can get up, I can pause the movie and go do whatever. There's tons of times, or if I get a text, I'm like, pause the movie, answer this text.
It breaks
and I don't do that in a theater. If I get a text, I ignore it until the movie's over.
Yeah.
And it does. There's an ambience that's with the theater that you don't get at home and you can't get at home that really does kind of change your atmosphere and how you perceive the film.
Yeah, no, I would agree completely, and I also think that it's like coming out of the theater and having that first reaction of all your attention, all your focus was there on the screen, and it's like you had this shared experience. Now you either get to talk about it, whether it was bad or good. You have you have a symbiotic relationship with the people that you're seeing it in the theater.
One of my favorite things about going to the movie theater is when the movie's over and everybody walks out. It's usually quiet, no matter what movie it is. It's usually quiet, and you get out in the lobby, and that's
people
when
just
everybody.
start
No, but that's
talking.
when everybody looks at each other's face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like we
yeah.
come out of Star Wars, and I look at Neil's face. And I'm like,
He didn't
because
like
I could
it.
tell what he thought just by the look on his face. And then and then other times it'd be real serious, and it's like, what
Even just like
are you thinking right now?
The reactions in the film, like I loved when we went and
Ghostbusters.
Saw,
Oh, yes.
Ghostbusters was great. But even when we saw Endgame and and like
The
all the people
lighthouse.
start coming through, and everybody starts cheering.
Yeah, and they're all clapping.
and it just gets you that much more pumped.
The
You're just that
lighthouse
much more
was awesome.
excited. Yeah, the lighthouse. That was a bad one.
I wish I had that episode number.
Oh my God.
If people could go back.
He did. He threw that thing of candy.
Stuff
We're just
at it.
like,
What in the world?
I'm like, who brought this? Like, you had to know that this jackass was not going to like this art house film. Like, why'd you bring him to an art house movie?
Like, it's not even a color. It's not supposed to be, you dumbass.
What
Hey,
I
I
love-
liked the lighthouse. It was a good.
It
the
was
sad
good.
thing is those that was at a small indie theater too.
Yeah,
it's
no,
like that ruined the
Baxter Avenue,
experience.
that's
It's
exactly
like,
where
it's
everybody
like, 'cause
goes
he was
to
with
see
a group
those
of
movies.
people. I was like, y'all had to do. No, you were dragging him to an art house theater with an
Right.
art house film, and he's the jackass that was going to throw candy at the.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, he had to
It
be.
was like
I thought he was by himself. He
it
had
was
to
like
be by
everybody
himself.
else
He
in
was
that
with
theater.
friends.
Everybody
Man.
else in the theater was from the Highlands, and this guy was from Shepherdsville. He was just like he was not having it.
He was not.
He was not.
Oh.
He was from Brandenburg.
I got the hiccups
Oh
now.
man, sorry to anybody listening that's from
Listen,
Brandenburg.
we know not everybody
I know what
from
I'm
those
talking
places
about.
are like that, but yes,
No.
yeah.
Just saying.
But again, it's that. But the thing is just as you all walked out of that theater pissed off, you didn't blame the movie.
movie.
But at
No,
the
it
same
wasn't the
time,
movie's fault.
you do
I
blame.
do blame the theater for not coming in and telling him to shut the heck
shut
up
and get
Yeah.
the hell out of there.
Yeah.
I
But
was
it-
really surprised. I was like, is nobody like
Well, I think didn't y'all say somebody did get up?
couple
but then
people got
Somebody else
stopped?
in the theater, but nobody
Nobody came
somebody
in
in
there.
worked
the theater
there.
actually said, "Shut the hell up." Like they yelled it in the theater. But and as I was saying, and a few people walked out, so I assume they told somebody because a couple of people walked out and came back, but nobody ever came in. And
Well,
told
they didn't
want to
hurt his
stop it.
feelings. So.
But here's the thing. You're not going to get an experience of some random dude in your house saying, shut the hell
throwing
up.
candy
and
at the
throwing
TV
candy at the
screen.
screen.
No.
You only
That's
get that
true.
in the
we
theater.
got a good story out of it.
Yeah, I mean, but it's
Neil
funny.
says he could watch a movie on the train, and I'm thinking the train would be a place that you might hear something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny because he's talking about watching it on the train.
Well, that's what he said. Well,
But
he said
how-
he wouldn't
how
watch a serious.
pristine-
That's what he said. He
Yeah,
said
he's not gonna watch a serious
he has
movie.
15
Right.
minutes, so he could watch like TV or something. But he said he wouldn't want to watch a
Well,
serious
and here's
movie
the thing.
that way.
Typically,
Nah, that's when you watch The Hangover.
yeah, you just
You don't
pass
watch that.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: some of the films that do come out, like Ford v Ferrari, you could watch that probably on the train.
Oh, feel
and
that
enjoy
movie.
it. And and that is one of the things that won for sound design. I think it deserved it. You're not going to get that in a pair of headphones, even unless you have high quality stereo
AirPod
headphones.
Pro.
You got those, the
AirPod
AirPod
Max.
Maxes
Oh,
that aren't
gosh.
even pods. I hate that.
It doesn't
They
make
named
any
something
sense.
that's not even a pod, an AirPod. Stupid. Dumb. Apple fails.
Well, they're not gonna call them air cones. Air cones max.
What was it? Air muffs. That's what people say.
Air
They should-
muffs.
Air
Air
muffs.
muffs.
They
That
said they
would've
should
been-
call them air muffs.
Dude, if they had an internal
Apple
heater,
has lost its way.
It
Apple
has,
has.
truly.
They're terrible.
Steve Jobs is done with Siri. He's not even
He
up in
would-
the cloud anymore.
Yeah.
Nope. He's rolling.
They've already proven they don't have him on back. He's not an AI anymore helping guide them.
No.
But no, I think the theater experience is important. The whole point of this
absolutely,
is,
yeah.
while I agree with the academies, especially the Oscar contenders themselves. I mean, hell, look at Nolan. It's going to be hard for him to.
Oh, he'll never give up the theater.
No, well,
experience.
but he even said, he's like, I have no problem with people. We covered this, a few months
Yeah.
back. He has no problem with people watching his films on a phone or on a tablet. He said, but I don't want that experience to be your first entry into the film. He's like, if you can and you can see my film in theaters, I think that's
he wants his
what
movies,
I made it
yeah.
for.
He wants them to premiere in theaters, and then
Yeah.
once they've premiered theaters, he's fine if you want to watch The Dark Knight
because
100
you've
times on
had
the
that
phone,
experience.
but
And
yeah.
I think we would all admit, seeing Dark Knight, seeing Interstellar,
yes,
seeing
in
Inception,
IMAX.
Yeah.
all of those films in the theater, it makes a difference in terms of sound design. I mean, hell, even Tenet, as much as I hate it, I'm glad they fixed the 4K version.
They fixed the sound.
They
Yeah.
fixed the sound in terms of
Yep.
dialogue,
Mhm.
but I will say I enjoyed the thumping of
Yes.
the bass in IMAX. It was like no other. It scared me the first time you hear gunshots go off because it
It's piercing.
sounds
Yeah.
so realistic.
Yep.
And there are just some experiences you can't get at home that you get in the theater. And so I can agree with some of the people who've made, these arguments about watching the Oscar films at
Yeah.
home. I think for the most part,
I mean, it's hard to. Yeah, you could judge it on like its themes and its content, but when you get to the technical aspects, the quality's that degraded, you really can't. I mean, how do you award these technical awards when you don't really get a true sense
And
of
here's
what
the
it
thing.
is.
Now, to be
that's
fair,
been
we
put
haven't
into it.
seen.
We haven't seen all the streamers yet.
Well, and we haven't seen what the streaming service actually is. Like we saw Nomadland in terms of a screener. We don't know if that's what it really looks like streaming on their service.
Well, according
It's probably
we
better
haven't
than
seen a
it's
true
probably
1-to-1,
better, but it's not higher than 1080.
which is that is
well,
a
what we
problem.
were watching was like VHS.
But yeah, what
It
we were
really
watching
did
was
look
terrible.
bad.
And
Some
I
of
would
the
hope
the
maybe
frame rate was awful.
maybe their streaming service has surround sound. The one we had was like you said, two channel. But I don't know. But I mean, even still, even if it being better on there, a lot of Academy members are still complaining about the quality. So
No, yeah, and to me, where that really hurts is the technical films, the sound design,
Yeah.
your CGI. When you're getting into the technical and not for perform, I mean, to me, I can watch a screener when it comes to performance and it
Yeah.
comes to content, the overarching plot. I can get that from a screener, but when it comes to the technical fields, I think though they have an argument there. I think those people can have a right to raise a fit. Alrighty, guys, moving on to our second headline this week. Funny enough, WB has spoken up. They're talking about, finally, they've got a plan to compensate all the peeps that are getting screwed.
Somebody got a plan somewhere.
Somebody's got a plan.
We're trusting them that they have a plan for recouping all the actors and all the people who had their pay based on the fact of how well a performance movie
many
did in
actors,
theaters.
they get their pay, but they also get a percentage of
Box
what, the
office, yeah.
box office gross, and that's how many of them make bank. I mean, heck, George Lucas made most of his Star Wars off of merchandising rights, like the money from Star Wars, because he
He's smart.
retained 100% of that. So
Look, George can't write, but he's a smart cookie.
yeah,
He knows how
cookie.
He knows how to make money.
yeah.
Okay.
Hey, he made $2 billion alone off just selling Star Wars.
know.
So, but yeah, it is interesting to see what they're going to come up with.
No, they've already got it planned.
Well, they say they have it planned.
They wrote out the. Let's look at it.
I mean, no, I know it's there, but
I here's the thing. It's questionable as to what the compensation will truly be.
yes.
So in this article here, they have it laid out that the studio is the deal is based on partly HBO Max's streaming fees, and as stated by Bloomberg, it will guarantee payment regardless of box office sales, with no increase and to increase the odds of performance-based income. So they're basically using the streaming performance and the fees that come from people who subscribe to HBO Max to pay these actors based on the performance. And they said there is going to be what they call the COVID-19 multiplier, which is if there's by any chance more theaters shut down, they will cut the number or they will multiply the number of percentage that they get from a movie.
Yeah.
If the theater presence goes down,
Yeah,
even
the
lower
smaller
than it is
the
now.
smaller amount of theaters open, the larger percentage actors will
We'll get from the box office
And I
performance.
get that, but still, it's like when you're talking about, a subscription fee of $16 a month versus, a ticket fee of $16 every time you see the movie. I don't know that it's going to still balance out in a way that actors are
Yeah.
going to be okay with.
I
yeah.
agree.
What they're counting on with this, it almost sounds like, is at least the actor is guaranteed a good, decent
They're guaranteed
paycheck.
something.
Yeah, they're
Even-
guaranteed a good payout.
Even if nobody watches.
Whereas if it bombs in the theater, they're not going to get that big
Well,
of a
if
payout.
the theaters aren't open, they're not getting a paid out anyway.
Anyway, yeah,
So
I get that.
Still,
yeah.
It's
this
something.
is better than nothing. Yeah.
But it's just I do wonder what some of the actors think that are involved.
That's
in some
what
of
I'm
these
most
films.
curious about, because I could see actors still complaining about it. It's like, well, or your movie could just not release at all because theaters are closed, and then you don't get any percentage.
Right.
Or that by the time it comes out, nobody wants to see it anyway because they know it's
So you
coming.
still
to
don't get
streaming.
any percentage.
So they just wait. I mean,
So
it's a
depends
damned
on
if you
how-
do, damned
yeah.
if you don't. And I think they're doing the best they can, especially after the backlash. There's still kind of that anger that set in because of how they announced all this crap anyway. But
Yep.
I don't know. I'm kind of on the side of, the performance of the actors in this situation. I just feel like WB they're trying to come up with a feasible option, but we'll see how it plays out when the film's
They're trying to
actually
make all
launch.
parties happy. Because, again, Warner Brothers is a business. They don't want to just sit around and sit on these movies that they have
Well, they can't.
produced.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we have a streaming service. let's launch them on there. I mean, Disney's already launching movies on it, and it's saving certain movies for theaters specifically, but it's still launching certain movies on its streaming service, and not to the greater extent that Warner Brothers is, but we haven't seen that huge backlash against Disney the way we have with Warner Brothers.
But you know what? There's one property that doesn't have to worry about the box office because it's just so good that everybody is just, they went from saying, hey,
Beer.
I didn't like this.
Beer.
Yeah, hey, I didn't like beer, and then one day I was like, I like beer.
I like beer.
Beer.
Beer. I like beer.
I like beer.
But no, there's one movie that sucked. Nobody wanted to see it, but now everybody does now. Everybody loves it.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 1984
No.
is not rotten anymore.
You got to backtrack.
guys.
You got to backtrack.
No.
When it first released, it was loved. Critics loved it. It had a 70-something on Rotten Tomatoes. It was amazing. The audience score was in the 50s, but critics was 70. Then all of a sudden,
Why do you think that is?
but all of a sudden, as it was out longer, the Rotten Tomato score went down into the 50s
And
critically.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
This happened
And the audience score never
in
went
the
up.
same week.
Yeah, it never went up, but the critic score went down. Now all of a sudden, both critics and audiences are in the 70s. What happened there?
What? No. So that just means
Women.
more people love
Women
the film.
happened.
You think women
all of a
went on
sudden-
there and rated this?
all-
No,
film?
I
all
don't
of a
think
sudden,
that. I
a
think
month
the
after-
critics probably got woke smacked
No,
because
that's
they
exactly what
critically
happened.
hated a woman with
just-
a female
That's
lead
what
and
I'm
a
saying.
female
It's like
director.
a month after the
and
movie
so they
was
changed
out,
their scores.
People magically
But that
rewatched
doesn't-
it
okay.
and liked it again.
There it is. That's
A month
that's
after it
gotta
came
be
out,
it.
these people that they waited a month to watch it, they didn't watch it, when they could have.
Here's the weird thing. All of this literally, like, the headline read, Wonder Woman 84 slips to rotten.
Yeah.
And within the same exact week, it went from in the 50s,
Back to the
certified
70s.
rotten, to 70% certified fresh.
Yeah, what do you
And-
need to get fresh? 67?
I think,
No,
it's 60.
You have to have a
60?
60%.
Oh, okay.
60%.
I thought it was closer to 70. I was thinking
No,
that's
no.
just enough to keep it fresh.
Oh, no.
60's fresh.
But if it keeps climbing if it gets to the 80s, it'll be certified fresh.
What I would like to know, which I mean I can't now because I didn't note it beforehand, but how many reviews did it have before, and how are they because
Yeah,
Rotten Tomatoes
yeah.
has done that before when they say, oh, these were fake reviews or just reviews people were putting to intentionally lower the score, and they'll delete
They did
them.
that with Ghostbusters.
Yeah, they'll delete.
Or what's it called? Ghostbusters.
Answer the call.
Answer the call.
Answer the call.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'll
That movie
delete.
sucks,
Well, they did that
Barb.
with Captain Marvel, which to be
Captain-
fair,
yes.
To be fair, Captain Marvel did have a huge campaign of people like giving
Well,
it bad
no,
scores before
but
it
here's
came
the thing,
out.
But Rotten
after
Tomatoes
that, they
made the
continued-
rule.
They continued doing it.
They
yeah.
made the rule
Yeah.
that they said they were no longer going to allow, like, especially from audience
People
members,
to review it
scores
before the movie comes
before
out.
it released.
Right.
And I thought, okay, that's fine, that's fair. But again, it was a signal from the woke police of like,
Well, wait a minute
it's
now.
getting bad reviews.
Why are they allowing people to review Run, Hide, Fight before it's ever released?
It's
Huh.
not reviewed. It's not even.
Yeah,
it
it's
doesn't
not,
exist.
It's
Oh,
not
I
even
know,
available.
but according to Google, it's been
Yeah.
reviewed.
According to
It's a
Google, it has a
60%.
14% on Rotten Tomatoes. If you get on Rotten Tomatoes, it doesn't even exist.
Is
It's
that
not
any
even on there.
indication of what we'll give it? Tune in next week. So,
I will honestly give it what I feel it deserves.
which
Yes.
is what we do here every week. We always give our honest opinion. The fact is this seems loaded.
And we don't delete movies.
Yes.
This
Like,
is,
listen,
I'm sorry.
do I wish
it
I could
literally
delete-
It literally went from certified rotten
Mm,
this week and having a lower. It was in the 60s.
It was
for
50. It was 58, I think.
for the
Yeah,
audience
yeah.
scores.
It was
no. For the critics.
For the,
score.
crit- but the,
but no,
but the
but
audience score was
scores.
low too. Yeah.
How low was the audience
I
scores?
don't know. I
think
Because
it was
there's
the
no
50s or
way.
60s.
There is no way the audience score hardly ever changes once it sets at a
Well, it's
certain point for a
76
while.
Audience is 73 right now.
Yeah,
Okay,
and that's
73
that's
now.
And
BS.
tomato meter is 60.
Oh, it went back down a little bit.
Gosh.
They're fighting. They're
Yes.
fighting back and forth.
And there's 383 critic reviews, 2,664 audience.
All I'm saying is something seemed a little fishy that it got rotten, and then literally within days,
popped back into fresh.
it popped up into 70%
Listen.
range. That's a little loaded to me.
I just want to say, you're talking about giving our honest.
I think they're fixing the
opinion.
numbers. Stop the steal.
Unlike Rotten,
Oh,
Are we gonna
our
get
YouTube
banned?
video is going to get taken down.
Yeah,
now.
probably.
we're not going to be on Facebook now.
God dang it.
Going away. I just want to say this. I wish I could delete. Oh, I don't even remember the movie. I did delete it from my mind. The one with Oprah Winfrey. I hated that movie.
Color Purple?
Time,
A Wrinkle in Time.
a wrinkle in time.
Yes.
It's more like a wrinkle in her face.
I wish I could delete that from my mind, but I gave my honest opinion, and I'll do the same for Run, Hide, Fight. So,
No,
I mean, you know.
well,
Okay.
of course,
Yeah.
of course. We're
we
never
don't go back and delete.
We literally, if you watch our show, we have consistent opinions across the board
Yeah.
with all of our reviews.
The
And-
only time we've ever walked back a review was Jupiter Ascending.
We've never. No.
I'm just kidding.
You did.
I did.
But no doubt, we always give our conscious effort of just, and we view it not from a biased opinion. We literally just watch the film, and it's like it doesn't
I
matter.
don't go into any movie with politics in mind
No.
because I just want to
Well,
be
not even politics with any kind of expectation.
Because I just want to be entertained, honestly. And now, if they try to force things down my throat, then I'm going to give my opinion on that because I don't go to a movie to be, depending on the film, because some films are supposed to be like, may it be political in nature or religious in nature or what have you. And those films, I'm like, fine, that's the story they're telling.
Well,
it should
and,
be
and
that
I'll be
way.
the first
Here's
person.
an interesting. Oh, you go ahead.
Well,
and then
I
I'll
was going to say, here's the first thing I'll say. The first thing I'll say is that I absolutely will let. I mean, I have viewpoints, I have opinions, of course, and my morals.
You're
and
not
my
allowed
views,
to have those.
not in 2021.
No.
But it's like I have those are going to influence how I review a movie, absolutely. But I'm going to be honest with what those opinions are
Yeah.
that made me sway in that direction.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you to go and watch a movie or not watch a film because of something that is political or even cultural. It's like you have to watch a film to see if it's worth watching.
Well,
now
yeah,
there have been
I'll
some
always
that
say
I've
that my opinion is my opinion. Just because I think a movie's
Yeah,
bad,
you may
or I
like
think a
it.
movie's
Right,
good.
right.
Someone else, I know plenty of people. I mean,
you may
Arrival.
like
I
you may
bashed-
like Arrival.
I bashed Fred
Terrible.
Claus, and my sister got on here to say that is a fine movie. She
Oh,
gave it like
whoa.
a half a score.
I thought she was about to say the F word.
She's
there
about
for
to
a
get
second. That's a
passionate.
She thought it was a
fine movie.
good movie.
So Sean, what were you saying?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
That's not what
Damn
I was
right.
going to say, but that is good.
Yeah.
It's a
No,
great
I was
movie for
looking at
today.
if you break down the score details, they have this cool feature where you can separate
They do.
the critics, and you can look at all the critics or the top critics. And if you switch it from all, which is 60%, to top critics, it goes up to 71.
It does, yeah.
But the verified audience is what they show on their website, 73%. But if you go to all audience, it goes to 43%.
They are loading that. They are
Garbage.
freaking loading that
because
Yeah.
you
To
have to
verified
submit for
audience.
to be a verified
That's
audience member
freaking-
on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah.
And I bet you get the way you get verified is you
It
tell
should
them
be
all the
like
woke
literally.
things you can tell
Well, that's
them.
what I want to know. How do you get verified?
You tell
You
them.
just
We've
I
talked
think you
about
just,
this
yeah,
before.
we
we're
need to
out.
get into that.
We're not going
Yeah.
to be able to get verified because we're too critical.
I hate
Just
us. Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, they'll listen to this and hear our episode and they'll say, "No, we're not giving those guys verified." Because I agree, it's like there's no reason we can't. Hell, we've had over 300 reviews on this show, obviously over the several years that we've been doing this, and I think our opinion is as good as any on there. Especially when you read some of the reviews, and whether it's audience or critics, they're just bogus. Mm-hmm. But it's like, look, when you have the aggregate and you load the aggregate like that, it's clear what they're trying to do. And the fact
Yeah.
of the matter is Wonder Woman 84 sucks balls. Do not watch it.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
okay. Tell us your honest opinion.
Yeah.
See, I told you. I'll just be honest on here. I'll just give it to you straight.
I think you need to slow down on that.
Yeah, you've had a little too much.
1985.
You've had a little too much 84. It's making you or 80. Man, I've had too much 85.
Oh my God.
Oh no, Sean.
We're all
next.
over the place. Sean, you're the only sober one. Continue with the show.
I think so.
All right, guys. I think we're ready to move on to our vices
Indeed.
segment. Let's roll that. That's right, guys. It's our vices topic this week. We got a good one for you.
What is it?
It's kind of interesting that we've not talked about this.
I like beer.
I like beer. Give me more beer.
People are gonna,
You know
I think
what
people,
it's from.
people are going to start
Everybody
tuning in.
knows.
I think, yes, everybody knows. I think people are going to tune in to see whether we have a can of beer in our
This
hands. at the
beer's
beginning
gonna
of the
make me
show.
Ralph.
And from now on, they'll be like, do we want to watch this? They don't have a beer can. They're not going to be that entertaining.
No,
Oh,
we
they
don't
do have
watch
beer.
it.
We're going to watch this show.
Well, I mean, look, if it was as easy as getting drunk and just airing your shit live,
what I
why
think
the
we
hell
should do.
not? I mean, it's like
Yeah.
that means all of our lake trips
Until
should be
social
live.
media stops you.
Well, yeah, they're trying to stop everybody these days. Alrighty, guys, our unique weekly segment. Oh, it's not relationships. Why the hell is that on there? I got it. Hold on, loaded up the wrong one. Vices. There it is. When do your vices become a problem?
When you can't do your show live.
When you can't stop drinking
Beer. No, the problem is
it's just one beer. I mean, good Lord.
Hey, these we already talked about. These have high alcohol concentration.
It's 6.7.
I mean, it's
not that high.
like
I'm not buzzing. I was
we're,
like,
we're
Lord,
fine.
no.
We're
We're
playing.
really fine.
We are playing it up.
that's
but
the sad thing is
still.
people would tune in and be like, those guys are faking it. They've never had a beer.
Faking it. Yeah, they
I've
don't
had a
drink
beer.
beer.
How do you get
Wait till
this
you've
gut
had
from nowhere?
27 Bud Lights.
Yeah, that's the
That's
real
when
beer.
you know.
I feel sorry for anybody who's drinking 27 Bud Lights.
No,
Excuse me.
well,
That's the only bad thing about it, man.
but I will say,
makes me burp.
So
during
your
that
vice is a
Vices-
problem when it makes you burp.
It is. When you all were doing that intro, you all chugged your all's beer.
Yeah,
So y'all are done. I'm still
I wanted to be done.
done.
It's Vice's time.
So you all are.
I'm gonna drive home too, in a minivan.
Oh, now we're definitely getting canceled.
Don't drink and
There's no
drive.
kids in it. Don't worry.
Alrighty, guys. What
There's gonna be kids.
what
on it.
vices do you
Just not
have
in it.
that cause problems? Obviously, beer is one of them. We've just discussed
Not
that.
typically. Alcohol is usually not a problem for me. I never drink and then go places. I'm just saying. If I'm going to get drunk, I do it at home.
I never drink and go places.
I don't know how sad that is.
It's like I drink alone.
I just drink alone.
No, I
and
don't drink alone. I'm just
get
saying that we
naked on
don't.
my couch.
I don't drink alone. I don't go nowhere. I drink with people, but then I stay there.
I just
I'm
picture
just thinking of George Thorogood, that song he's got. He's like, I drink alone.
I'm thinking of like Keith
One
being
bourbon.
drunk at his house,
Scotch.
and you're just
One beer.
Yeah.
get
Oh,
some
man.
country music
good
on
stuff.
here.
That's
Oh, I didn't country.
country.
George
Ah,
Thorogood?
I'd
What the
say
hell are
it's
you
country.
talking about?
What the hell is that? I don't know.
That's rock and roll, man.
Yeah.
I don't know it.
It's the white man's blues. It is. George Thorogood was like a white guy playing the blues.
He's being honest. He
It
is.
just him.
I'm
with
just
guitar
picturing.
and his
I'm
feelings.
literally picturing the outside of Keith's house, him being drunk inside. Nobody knows what's
Just
going on.
one
No,
bourbon,
you just
one
see
scotch, just
you-
me dancing around the
no,
house naked.
you just see like every once in a while, you just see the window shade just open up, and like he's
He
peeking
peeks
out,
out
and then
to
it
see
just
if everybody's
closes real
watching.
I don't
quick.
peek out. I pull all the shades open and let everybody see me dancing around naked.
Oh, why not? That'd be a sight to see.
No, for me, I would say like vices is like when do they become a problem? I mean, fast food we mentioned is one. Obviously, I mean,
Definitely for me.
I don't do sweets a lot. I'm not big into sweets, but when you give me like sodium, is what kills me. That is the vice.
Salt,
That is
yeah.
my biggest like. Spice like hot wings, chips, things that are just loaded
Feeling it
with
now.
salt. Yeah, they give you that GERD. I know all about that.
I'll tell you that girl.
Brandon's always complaining about his GERD.
I ain't
ain't
got
no
the GERD
lie.
yet.
That ain't no lie.
But then we also mentioned like certain things that I'm a procrastinator anyways, but then
Yeah.
I'm doing something like watching a series I like or playing a video game, and I'm like, I should really be doing this right now.
That's another big
but
one.
I gotta get
Yeah,
through this
like
level.
Yeah,
I should
well,
be sleeping right now.
I should be sleeping because I gotta be at work in the morning, but it's 3 a.m. and I've
Actually, I
almost
think-
beaten
I
this
think we've-
boss. So
I think we've had that as a vice before. Was our sleep schedules and like how
Yeah.
just staying up but all of those things I could agree with. It's like there are things that it tends to be something that isn't bad in moderation, but yeah, when do you take it to that next level?
Are you replying to somebody? Because I was getting ready
go
to.
for it.
Okay.
Well, do we have any comments that are worthy of sharing?
A
we
great
always do.
friend of mine I used to work with named Sandy. She's very excited. She's on the show. Sean already thanked her for joining us.
Yeah,
but then she asked,
we'll give
what
her a
type-
shout out.
I just did. So I said, my good friend Sandy, who I used to work with, asked what type of beer we are drinking because I mean it is a different can. You don't typically see
She's
that.
gonna be
It's-
sad. You can't
is
find
a,
it right
a
now.
Voodoo Ranger 1985 IPA. It's a more of a micro brew. I mean, it's still more mass produced than others. But
I
it's
guess-
By the
not
way, we're
Budweiser.
laughing. You would think this was the other one we were drinking, the one with the hemp in it.
The Kush.
Mango Kush.
Mango
Mango
Kush.
Kush.
There's no real weed in that beer
There's
that
not.
you know of.
that we know of.
That we don't know.
It's sold legally, and it's not legal in Kentucky.
know.
So
So we
Yeah.
don't.
I know.
But I would agree fast food, and I
Yeah.
would say Vid Games could also be up there. as far as just, it's not really video games as much as it could be watching movies. It could
Lost
be
me
watching
there for a second.
video games.
Video games?
Yeah, it's just like it's like, get down to video games. It's just a hick way of doing it. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
didn't catch
didn't
that.
know.
Okay, my
Yeah.
bad. Sorry, didn't mean to go over your head.
You did.
I think you went under, like way under.
Y'all kill
Went
me.
between
You know
the
what?
legs.
Look, Arrival still sucks. Okay, I'm just saying, y'all suck.
Anyways, continue on with your video games.
No, it's not just video. It's anything that. Yes, I working for the show all week, trying to get it together. I know I've got certain priorities, but unless I have it as a listed like priority that I got to get done, I will find ways to procrastinate things that are not scheduled or that are imminent or should be a priority. And it's like, I mean, hell, we haven't had new refreshing entertainment content since Margaret's Monsters back in like 2017. So I know that like getting us kind of started on more creative content is something I've put pressure on myself. But I also think that's the other thing is the more pressure that I do put on getting something done, the more I want to like push it off, even though I know I'll feel really good about once it gets finished. But it's like it is like, fast food being a vice now, because it's like, okay, well, I'm already at a weight I'm not happy at. I want to start running again. I want to start getting healthy again. But it's much easier to just go grab something quick and
Or have DoorDash.
I'm definitely
that too.
I'm definitely the type of person that I perform better when like I'm put to the grind and I'm like just thrown into it. Like you have to do it, so then like I just run and I do it and I do great at it. But if you give me all the time in the world, you're like, get this accomplished.
doesn't get done.
But you can take all the time you want to do it. Yeah, it'll be months before I do it.
So maybe our procrastination is our vice.
It might be.
Maybe that's really the vice that
the biggest
causes us the most
problem. Yeah.
problem.
I mentioned earlier tonight, like, I guess like overdoing it spending wise, or I don't really know because I do save, but it's like I had money set aside. I told y'all the story. I had money set aside for a PlayStation 5. I was going to get me a PlayStation 5.
Yep, yeah, we all were.
And so I had the money set aside for it, and I told my wife, I was like, this money that I have right here is for a PS5. She doesn't understand what any of that means, but she says, "Oh, okay. I guess if it's something that you have to have," and I was
She
like,
knows it's video games.
I have to have it to live. Yeah, I mean, I have to have it." So she's like, "Okay." So set the money aside. But then, of course, when it comes out and I finally get one, it's like, Amazon's showing up at the door every day, and it's like this game, this controller, this headset, this and that, and then she's just like, "Well, that's turning into a lot more than $500," and it's just like, yeah, it is. Because it's like,
Yeah,
but
it
I
is.
mean, I already knew that, that's my vice is like, I can get, I don't know. I have
It's
to
like
get,
you could justify it in the beginning, but then it was like, oh, I just need one more.
I just need one more thing. One more thing.
And then it kept adding up.
I need better HDMI cables. I need 24 karat gold plated HDMI cables.
Yeah.
Like not
They
really.
sell those
I
at
don't really buy
Ollie's.
this.
They're probably garbage, but they say they're 24
No, they're
when you
24C carat coated.
I was saying,
they're not
when
K.
when you hear 24 karat gold at Ollie's, it's like, no, I don't think so.
24 current.
Those are like, when you play them for 5 hours, like you can't even take the HDMI. It's like melded to the damn box.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I have a problem with gadgets and gizmos, and I have an idea of what I want to get, but then it always turns into more. It's like running a cable through my house to hook up the internet. I was like, I can do this and I can do that, and the next thing you know, I'm at Walmart and Lowe's spending $200 trying to make it happen.
See,
Dude,
and I've been
it's
running
just-
cable through my house for 2 years and still haven't done it. So
Well, you need $200.
I do.
That'll get it done real quick. No,
need
it wasn't
more
really
money.
that much. I'm just saying it always turns into something more. Like
Yes.
I don't plan ahead for all of the expense. It's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna get that, and then you gotta have that, you gotta have that, you gotta have that to go with it, and I'm fine with that. And that's a vice.
That is.
That
No,
is.
totally. Absolutely. And I would even say, like, I definitely, right now, my biggest one is health. That's it. I mean, I listed off all the other ones, but I would say it's weird. I feel like it fluctuates. And I guess that's what really vices are. It's like, how much is too much? It's like you can have one consistent one, but I feel like I have like maybe 3 or 4, like
Well,
your
everybody-
health,
yeah, everybody
procrastination.
has,
Yeah, and it's just like, I feel like procrastination, I would say, is like the like probably the one that just ties them all together. That would probably be the biggest one because it's the same as like, well, I don't have to procrastinate putting off my health. You know, I don't have to procrastinate getting the creative projects done. But it's like I always find an excuse to throw in there to make it happen, and that is inherently a vice.
We'd like to have these things done before you die of a heart attack. So,
Well, I'm gonna try.
We'll get started pretty soon.
I'll try, but I can't promise anything.
Before the
So-
GERD.
The
GERD gets you.
The GERD's already overtaken my body. I mean, it's like I'm that blob in
I ain't got
Weird
no room
Science.
to talk, so.
I'm just Bill Paxton.
Oh, God.
The big blob.
May he rest in peace.
Yes. It's done out of love.
I love this.
I still
Too
Twister's his
soon.
best movie.
Oh, yeah.
There was an evil Bill, and I killed him. It's the finger of God.
Took her, you damn thief. I love that one.
She was an unrealized idea. Unrealized. So bad. I love that movie.
Just how he delivers lines.
I know.
It
So
is.
good. I
I
love
know,
it.
it is. It's
He
fantastic.
could choose scenery like it ain't.
I'm
nothing.
telling you, though, Frailty, have you ever seen that movie?
No.
It's one of the best movies Bill Paxton
Does he
was
chew
ever
the
in.
scenery in that film too?
No, him and Matthew McConaughey. It's a fantastic
really?
movie.
I gotta see that.
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's a
Absolutely.
great movie.
Alrighty, guys. I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Red Moon Podcast.
That
Do
it
you
do.
have a vice out there? Do you have problems?
Do you have GERD?
Don't tell us because we can't help you.
Tell your doctor.
GERD is the word, and the word is the GERD.
Yeah, go tell your doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon.
What?
Tell your doctor before he tells you.
Yeah, that's the important part. Although, look. If you trust us so much on here, just let us know. Let us know in the comment section.
I mean, share with us your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
feelings.
your feelings. We'll tell you like it is. We already told you this whole episode. We
Yep.
just shoot you straight, okay?
We thank you for
That's
all the
it.
comments.
We don't pull
and-
punches.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in and watching us every Tuesday night here at 9 p.m.
Absolutely.
on YouTube and Facebook Live. Who knows for how long until they cancel us. That cancel culture is a real thing.
We're
So
not. We're not
subscribe.
big enough. We don't
Hit
have
that
the
bell
influence.
icon. Exactly. We're not big enough yet. So hit that bell icon.
We gotta shout out Stop the Steal a few more times before they take us.
What I know. We do. We're getting dangerously close.
Yeah.
But if you do have any comments, concerns, criticisms, as always, you can email us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Flapper-walled bodied crepuscular bagel skinks, Doppler passive periwinkle airstream.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.